All right, Mr. Ian, thanks for being here.
Sir,
Appreciate it. Northwoods Pitcher of the Year, right?
Prospect League.
Prospect League, sorry. Prospect League Pitcher of the Year. Um, did some cool stuff after we started working together, but just wanted to bring you on here and first off express my gratitude and appreciation for you for putting your trust in myself to help you out. But also for just like putting in the work physically. That's the hard part, just sit behind a computer and talk to you. But you put the actual work in, so thank you. But yeah, man, just kind of wanted to revisit, before we started working together, kind of where you were at and where you're at right now as we sit today. We don't want to jump too far ahead, but just kind of talk to me about like, before we did start working together, before you found me, where you were kind of at with everything and where you were at with ball and with training and how you were feeling with everything and what prompted you to want to reach out and start this relationship between the two of us?
Yeah, so my career has been, I've tried everything. I'm about low six. I'm 6'1", 6'2". I'm a bigger, kind of bulky guy. I'm not super quick, not super, wiry, they might say. And so I've done everything under the sun, to gain velo and kind of get the most out of my frame, the most out of my career. And I'd worked with a multitude of different pitching places. I had really good um, pitching coaches back home through high school. Um, and then it kind of got to a point for me where I was going through seasons and just kind of having inconsistent results. I'd be really good one day, didn't kind of know why. Um, Up to, maybe 89, set 87, 89 a showcase. And the next week I'd be 84, 86 or 83, 85. And changing my cues every 2 weeks and doing kind of almost going like outing by outing, how am I gonna like perform today instead of kind of sticking to a routine. um I've always been, I would say above average, but that's the most I'd say. I was a little bit above the par. um and I kind of grinded my tail to get there throughout my career, but I didn't have great direction. I kind of knew where I wanted to go, but it didn't super have the execution part figured out. And so I, you know, have been my one of my better coaches, just knowing myself pretty well. Um, and you know, I know that there knew I shouldn't say I knew that there was more in the tank. I knew when I was a junior and I hit 89 that like, okay, I got a shot to do something. I was a sophomore fall going into my sophomore year at 85. So I had the numbers, but I didn't have the package, didn't have it all figured out to where I was like, why is that? How can I continue those results? And so that's when it hit, and that's when I went through some other remote programs and again, still riding that like wave, you might call it. Really good one day, really bad the next. Um, and so that's when I, came across Mr. Barry's page. I kind of saw some tweets and I was like, okay, this guy gets it. This is kind of dope. And I went out for the free mechanical analysis, and basically everything that he said was like what I was thinking, but just confirmed on a video. And of course, much more things I didn't know because I'm not Jack Barry. But it was like someone was just like answering all my questions. And I was like, okay, this is the confidence, this is the layout, this is the guy um, that I feel confident is going to take me to the next step. It may not be the first thing he says, it may not be the second thing, but at least there's direction. At least we're trying things. At least we're saying, okay, if it's not that cool, we'll cross it off, let's go to the next one. Um, and so just before, you know, I was with Jack, that's what the training looked like. It was just kind of all over the place. It was kind of this program today, this program tomorrow, this work today. Let's try to do it again. Oh, didn't work. And there just wasn't great direction um, and progress for it. How the numbers kind of had those results, but nothing consistent.
That's awesome. Good to hear. Um, and so once you kind of hopped onto that structure and once you kind of got something that was custom to you or things that were serving you with where you were currently at in your career, can you just kind of talk about like the specifics of what those things were, the biggest needle movers or the things that you found the most benefit from?
100%. Um, so the number one thing is that I went from more, I love to lift. I have, I love to be in the gym. I was spending way too much time in the gym. And so my body was getting a huge toll taken on it. So when you're trying to throw in the summer, you're trying to throw innings, and then you're squatting a crap ton of weight.
Mhm.
Those two don't flow together. So really, um, moving to more of an emphasis on my mobility. That's when I started to feel fluid, and that's when I really started to feel like my body was working together instead of I was just muscling throws. Okay, so a big thing for me was the mobility plan. It was amazing. It's not like a mobility plan I've had before. Some of the mobility plans I've had were long, extensive, took me forever, and they just were almost like a freaking workout. But this one, I actually felt my range of motions getting opened, my back getting open, my T spine getting open, you know, my abductors, like everything here was more about increasing that range of motion, stretching that muscle out. And really, when I got to play catch, when I got to get on the mound, my muscles and my fluidity of my delivery just fell into line. So you add on top of that, just adding some directive plyos in regards to, I do a lot of dead arm stuff, right? So really working on getting my arm, staying loose, getting it up and letting the hip rotate and letting everything go after that. That cue on top of just that mobility stuff, I just honed in on that, right? We attacked just a small area. That was exactly the fix needed. I went from throwing, I don't know, probably on a good day, 86, 88. The next start I had, 87 to 90, hit 90 twice. I had never been rated, I've never hit 90 in a game on a gun before. I hit it twice through a 7 inning appearance, I think, second inning in the fourth inning. So it's not like this was a fluke. I was going on the stretch. I was sitting 87, 88, 89. Um, and so the biggest thing that I think, maybe we can agree on is like, we didn't try to just take everything and, try to do all this. No, it was like, okay, let's hone in on the two biggest issues. Number one, you're lifting too much. And number two, this is where I think mechanically we can make a small adjustment to your plyos, go out there and let it rip and let the work happen. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what happened. So those I would say are the two biggest things. And then everything else we do, which is the program lifts, which is nutrition, everything else just feeds into it. Right. But those are the two, I think, biggest things that we honed in on that got me that progress.
100%. I would echo that. I think you hit the nail on the head. Just adding some freedom, adding some smoothness, some fluidity. I think you used that word once or twice in
Yeah.
there. Uh, you know, but yeah, I mean, I think that when we first talked, it was like I come from a very similar background. I love the weight room. I'm not the biggest guy, but like I like to lift, and I grew up
Mhm.
lifting weights. And so like movement quality suffered. And I think that was one of the things that brought you to me initially was like I was kind of on that mobility arc for a while and still am, but I supplement in some of the weight room stuff. And I think that that's kind of how I designed your plan and kind of the plan that I'm currently on and a few other guys that I'm working with are also on as well to where you don't completely switch directions, but you just start to pay more attention or, spend more time on this thing rather than this thing over here. And then
Mhm.
you start to reap the benefits from that. So that's great. That's awesome. Um, Last thing I have, what would you say to someone in a similar spot who's, good college pitcher, was good high school pitcher, good college pitcher, but not to the point to where as though they feel as though they could reach the realization of playing at the next level or, receiving some of the awards that you've gotten.
Mhm.
Not to blow your head up too much, but but like getting to the point to where you have become an elite pitcher and you're starting to see the realization that you have opportunities in the future to continue and continue to get better and use the skill set that you've garnered to this point.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like, how much is it worth it to you? Like if you don't want to show up every day and work, if you don't want to get into the nitty gritty details, take care of it. Cool. You can stay where you are and you can be average. That's fine. No one's gonna be mad at you for being average except for yourself. But the issue is that when it comes down to it, it's like, kind of what we talked about, and watching the opening video and stuff. It's you asked about price, and you talked about, well, if you were guaranteed results, would you pay the money? It's like, yeah, I would. Of course I would. You know, and so it's putting it's betting on yourself. It's if I'm truly focused and I'm truly dialed in and I trust, you know, Barry, for example, right? I'm gonna put my money on that. I'm putting my money on myself. And putting money on my future is not gonna be a bad thing. If you get no results, he says your money back. Okay. You're guaranteed results if you put that money in. Right. And I think that's the thing. I think that is the one thing that people in my shoes have to kind of understand. It's like, you can play it safe, you can keep your money, you can keep doing whatever you're doing, okay? But you have somebody who's going to advocate for you, who's going to talk you through every situation that you're thinking about. He's going to program specifically to you. He's going to be the best personal coach that you can have. Oh, but if money is the issue, oh, I don't know if I can do time wise. It's not a matter of fact. It's not a matter of, do I have time? What's important to you is what you get done. It just wasn't important enough. And that's kind of the realization I had to come to, and I think that's what you have to ask yourself. What is important to me? Like, do I really want to be great? Do I really want this? Is it worth the money? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the commitment? Like, that's the question. And so I think anyone who's in that shoe, okay, bet on yourself, bet on Jack, bet that you're a dog, that you're good enough to do it, right? Because he gets the results. You trust him. He'll get you there. It may take some time, but you got to put that money where your mouth is. And if you don't bet on yourself now, if you don't take that opportunity, I guarantee you're going to look back and you're going to be pissed at yourself because you're average, and that's the thing for me is I said, okay, he has said everything, right? I watched his videos, I look at his tweets. I'm like, this is sick. And you have to take that leap because you get one shot. You get 4 years out of your 90-year life to maximize your potential. How much is it worth it to you? Do you want to put that time in? Right? What is your number one priority? Do you want to be a dog? Like, I just think it comes down to that. Is how much do you want? How much are you willing to bet on yourself? And so if you're in my shoes, beforehand, is a great bet to take, and I would do it 1,000 times again. So,
Shoot, man, I want to put the freaking helmet and shoulder pads on right now. Let me tell you. Ooh, fired me up. That was good. Mic drop right there. That was sweet. Um, that was awesome. That was great. And I think I couldn't have said it any better. That was a hell of an explanation. So I'll wrap this up by saying thank you. I'm excited for what you have to come. We still have a lot of work to do. But you're on the path, you're forging the path right now. And so I'm excited for you and I appreciate you a ton. And
sir.
I'm just fired up, man. I'm fired up, ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Thank you once more. I appreciate you.